I mean, my last relationship was not the healthiest. I've been in a healthy relationship before, but the last one was...
Your last, was it the 4-year relationship?
It was 3 years.
Oh.
The last one was 3 years.
3 years. Were you paying all the expenses in that relationship?
A lot of times, yeah.
Were you guys living together?
Mm-hmm.
Were you splitting rent, or how did that work? Was he paying the rent?
He would pay sometimes, but he just wasn't contributing like as much as he really should have.
Did you have conversations about that?
Yes. He was a toxic individual, so.
You dated him for 3 years, you said?
Mm-hmm.
You chose to cohabitate and live with a toxic individual?
Well, what did you like about him?
We had a connection. We did have a connection.
You had a connection?
Yeah.
With a toxic individual?
That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Like, what were the traits about him that you liked?
We had
what kept you in that relationship?
We had a lot of fun together.
Translation, he was a bad boy and exciting, and he fucked me really well.
I mean, that was that chapter of my life, and I'm in a completely different space.
What do you mean?
So you agree with what Brian just said?
I mean, I was in a different space in my life, so...
What do you mean, different space of your life?
Well, at the time, it was like, I had the choice to either go to this toxic relationship, or the alternative was other toxic things.
Other toxic
Couldn't
things?
you just be by yourself? Like, be single for a little bit?
I didn't really have an option at the time. I don't want to really get into the details.
Well, you had the option, but you didn't desire to be alone at that time for whatever reason.
I didn't have the support, and I think that's what. Yeah, sometimes you need like people. I was in an unhealthy relationship where I didn't feel like I had any place to go to. Like I didn't feel like I had options.
At what point in your relationship did you guys move in together?
It was early, but initially I moved in with him and his mom. So, like what? The first, yeah.
But then later on,
How
you
old was
became like the financial provider?
His mom passed away, so then we ended up getting an apartment together.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's when you started bearing the brunt of most of the expenses.
Yeah. Like it wasn't, I mean, if I knew it was going to be that way, I obviously wouldn't have got into it, but you live and you learn. I mean, that's why it was 3 years ago, and I'm, took the time to heal.
A lot of women complain about men being assholes and men being toxic, yet you find yourselves, interestingly enough, in long-term cohabitating relationships with the precise men that you categorize as toxic and assholes and jerks and bad boys. I think this is because women are attracted to these, well, it's certainly the case that women are attracted to these kinds of men because they're exciting in one way or another. And we've had women who come on the show and they say, well, a guy could be attractive, be stable, have a good job, but he just isn't, we didn't feel the click, we didn't feel the connection.
I wouldn't say that's the case with me. I just think I was a broken person at the time. And I was in a different place in my life. I hadn't healed a lot of parts of me, and so I attracted that person. But I don't think I necessarily saw them in the beginning as being like a bad boy. I actually thought he was too nice. That's literally what I remember.
But he's toxic, but too nice, and.
No, I mean, you don't know somebody until you're with them for a period of time. Sure. You can't just say after the first date, oh yeah, this person's like good or bad. Like, I don't know. It's just, it takes time to get to know someone.
Does it take 3 years?
No, but there's deeper circumstances, obviously, why I would stay in that situation. But like I said, I think the biggest thing was I didn't have a family base or anything.
Can you talk straight into the mic, please?
I didn't feel like I had like a family base or anyone to fall on. So I feel like I stayed in it longer than I should have because I just thought like, why am I going to leave this toxic situation to go and be in a more toxic situation.
Because you're addicted to the drama. You like the excitement that a toxic relationship brings you.
Was him living with his
no.
mom ever a red flag for you, or were you just kind of like, oh,
Women,
Yeah,
a lot
it
of
was a
women,
little
hold
bit of a
on,
red
a lot of women would rather date a toxic guy than a boring guy.
Okay,
women
we're
like
talking
that
about
drama, that
early
excitement.
20s. Now I'm in my 30s. I'm in a different stage in life. People also change. Have you heard of that? Like, people change. Yeah, people don't stay the same. They grow and they evolve, and you learn from your mistakes. Do you not believe in that? Is that why you care about body count so much?
I mean, we can talk about body count, but
I would like to add a little.
go ahead, Mary.
Sure.
I'm not saying that this applies to you and this relationship, but as far as why women get with toxic guys who obviously have a bunch of red flags that they ignore, I think sometimes it's actually more of a narcissistic thing that's about yourself as the woman, thinking, and I'm not saying this from experience at all, but from observation, thinking, I can change him. I'm special. He'll change for me because I'm just a special unicorn.
It's rather naive, though, don't you think?
Of course it is. Of course it is. But it's not just wanting excitement, or maybe it's a mix of both. But oftentimes I think it's more that thing about yourself, like, I'm the one who's going to change him because I'm special, and I have to prove to myself that I'm special because my parents didn't. Like, that's what it's all
But
about,
this
right?
is, I think this is a difference between men and women, because you often hear women say, well, I need the click, I need the chemistry, I need the lightning, I need the butterflies, I need this ethereal thing that a lot of people cannot actually articulate what they're looking for. You often hear women say that they like funny men, that they like guys who are exciting, and all these things. You often don't hear men saying, at least on the top of their totem pole, that they're looking for women who are humorous or funny. Most men, frankly, don't care, and I think that's why men generally have a stronger inclination to pursue women who would bring them peace. Women, I think, a lot of women look to men to be entertainers. You want us to be your fun and your entertainment. Now, I don't think that is what makes a good partner.
Generalizations. I mean, you're generalizing
You can
women.
every. I think
Generalizations
you
can
ask.
be true.
I think if you ask any
not
woman
always.
what they're looking for personality-wise from a guy, at the very top, every single woman would be like, "I like funny guys. I'd like a guy who's funny." My view is that actually a guy who's maybe a bit more dull actually might be the most suitable partner that you can find. But you like to be entertained. You want that sort of stimulation. Which is why it's not like I'm not pulling this out of my ass. Women admit it themselves. They say they like bad boys. And also, whether they admit to it or not, women constantly complain about men being jerks, assholes, whatever. You pick those men. You're attracted to those men. You have to have some accountability when it comes to the men that you choose to be in relationships with.
Yeah,
How
I
often is
feel-
it the case that you hear a woman say, "Oh, he was perfect, but we didn't have the click"?
Well, I think a lot of women collapse in their mind the idea of a guy who is exciting to be around, who excites them, who maybe entertains them or makes them laugh, who has a spark, with the guy who introduces uncertainty into your life. And if you're someone with an insecure attachment style because of your upbringing, then you're
There's a
going to be
video on this.
addicted to that uncertainty and not being able to stand on stable ground in a relationship. So if there is a guy who is toxic, an asshole, he's constantly making you question and testing your security. And women want security so bad in a relationship that if they have an insecure attachment style, they're going to be addicted to that guy who doesn't give it to them.
Sure. Nick, there's actually a video on this in the podcast videos folder. It's called Boring, No Chemistry. If you can get that pulled up here. Yeah, so...
I think any emotionally healthy person is able to have an exciting relationship that is also stable. And I think that I have something like that, personally. Like, I am excited to spend time with my boyfriend. I have fun with him.
Sure.
And we have a stable relationship in which I'm not constantly questioning myself.
But I do think there's this expectation on men that we be your perfect entertainers, and always like, if you want entertainment, if you want funny, like, go watch Netflix. My role as a partner to you is not to be your entertainment.
But like, I don't need you to be the most funny person in the world, but I need you to be able to take a joke, because like a lot of people are sensitive, and I think that is just probably one of my main things. Just don't be super sensitive.
But I often hear this complaint from women that, oh, he's kind of boring. Boring is not a bad thing. At least when I'm looking at a woman I want to date, if she's kind of, now obviously I want to be able to have a conversation with her, but if you think that the primary thing men are looking for is a woman's humor, I think that's very low on the totem for most men. Here, we have this. This is related to it. Wait, mute it. I don't feel that much chemistry with him. He's boring. He doesn't trigger my anxious trauma response, which I confuse with love.
That's exactly what I said. Yep.
Pretty much what Mary said.
Ding, ding, ding.
That's why women like to date toxic men, because it keeps them on their toes. It's so thrilling to be in a relationship with them. They just always
exciting.
have. Yeah, it's literally basically exciting and so thrilling that
But in
they're
the
addicted to the adrenaline that it gives them.
But in the healthy sense of it, like, women do want actual, or at least women should want, when they are emotionally stable, they should desire romance, excitement, fun, and all of that type of thing. Like, but not confuse it for something else.
And you say you don't want a toxic guy, but when he's too nice, it's a red flag.
I also think people don't give people enough chances. Like, you meet somebody on the first date and it might not click right away. And so, like, sometimes people just write people off. Yeah. I found that after the third date, like 9 times out of 10, I start to like the person. Like, I see like qualities in them that I like. But it takes time to like peel back layers and get to know someone.
This is why you don't swipe left on the guy with the fish pic.
Well,
gotta get to know a guy.
Well, I agree.
I'm not really into fishing, so whatever.
But when it comes to the vibe or the click, who here, and this, I put vibe, chemistry, click in the same realm as love at first sight. Who here believes in love at first sight? I think we all realize that's kind of bogus.
In a certain sense, though, I don't know about sight, but the fact that you're in someone's physical presence has a lot to do with your attraction to them. If you just see a picture of them, it's not the same thing.
I mean, there's lust, but I mean...
No, not lust.
Is this
That's
just
not even
for
what
dating?
I'm talking about.
Or, like, is this for anything in general?
Well, I'm talking about love at first sight.
Yeah, but, like, when a mother gives birth to, like, a child and they see their child, it's like love at first sight.
Yes, I'm talking about romantic dating.
Okay. In that sense, no, I don't believe in it.
Yeah. I categorize the click in that same thing. In the same way that I think love develops, I, too, also think that sort of chemistry and click can develop over time. A lot of women, though, want that instantly. Otherwise, they're just going to write off the guy. And typically, the men who are able to elicit that vibe, that chemistry, that click, the rainbow, the butterflies, whatever, the electricity, the spark, all the bullshit terms that are used, they're able to elicit it in a lot of other women too. That's why a lot of women fall for players, because I don't think a lot of women are feeling the click, the connection, the vibe with maybe a guy who's a bit more introverted, a guy who's maybe a bit more, maybe he's a little socially awkward. You're not feeling the fucking click with the socially awkward dude. You're getting the click with the guy who's super fucking confident. That dude's probably a player. So is it any wonder why a lot of women are chasing after these really attractive player dudes who just have that level of experience of eliciting that feeling in women?